Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
Yo. Ya mamo akwaba edemoba PENDREAM TV so me pacho obedu ya bobody say obe subscribe to the channel. And ya de enkomo kese pa na ede bremo. Na Jumadi a your friend Talk Time with Kwasi Pratt Jr. No ena yede bremo e Pan African TV so any kofa sa Jumadi na in fact meka say a General Mosquito and a Chairman General Mosquito Asiedu Nketia versus Uncle Kwasi Pratt the legend omo ena ne yedi sankomo tutwi eba be hye emu edi amamu na mesel say benya abotre sanse we esewani ense wo ka kire ma obi ntie emeka nkire wo sanse ensam ewom from now to 2024 December 7. Hey masa was say unya abotre na wo behwe sedia enkomo no esi ekoye na anse de beko na yakohwe yenkomodie no ewo Pan African TV so no mesel say obe subscribe to PENDREAM TV and now I like video no be do ya but more than say first thing first now I like video no amane e ba na sa na boa ema video no kwa chire ma afoforo so etumi enya bi hwe na wa share video no so other platforms so ama afoforo so anya bi ahwe at this time there was a Ghana for yin na boa na information e disseminate ma wiase nyina etenka Ghana nyina tenka na omutumi eto abapa on the 24 election December 7th for no and me pacho yanko na yanko tie enkomo no sedia ekoso ewo Pan African TV so na yensambra emetoa yenkomo eno so.
Hello and welcome to Talk Time. And this week we are talking about the National Democratic Congress, Ghana and the world. And we are particularly privileged to have a very, very distinguished person in the studio for this conversation. Welcome to Talk Time. Welcome back to Talk Time. And as I indicated from the very beginning, we are talking about the National Democratic Congress. We're going to be talking about Ghana and we'll be talking about the world. And our guest is special. We are going to be talking to Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairman of the party, otherwise known as General Mosquito. General, welcome to our studios.
Thank you, my comrade.
General, let's start with the state of your party. What is the state of your party? Where is your party at this moment?
Thank you very much, Kwasi, and let me greet our listeners. It's been a long while since I appeared here. I intend to be more regular in the coming months.
Thank you, sir.
Well, the state of our party is healthy and strong and poised for battle come December 2027. That is this year. And 2024, that is this year.
Are you winning the elections?
Sure. We can't do otherwise. Ghanaians will not
forgive us. What gives you the confidence that you are winning this election?
Well, it's about preparation. So that hard on the training grounds, easy on the battlefield. Mm-hmm. And that is why we are not approaching this election with any complacency at all. And I'm confident that the type of efforts we are putting in will certainly yield positive results. That gives me the sense of confidence that we are winning the election.
From those of us who are outside, it does appear that there is some focus on the Ashanti region. Are we right or wrong?
Well, there is some focus there, but that is not everything that we are doing. We are doing many other things. The reason you could sense and feel the extra focus on Ashanti region is to, deal with some of the problems at source. So we are focusing extra effort in Ashanti region and Eastern region. So but that doesn't mean that we are relaxing in the other regions.
Why this focus? Is it because these two regions haven't been your stronghold? Is it because you're seeing new signs? What is the reason for this apparent new focus?
The new focus is that when, as a surgeon, you operate a patient, you certainly will focus where the disease is. And that is why we are focusing. It has become clear that as a party, we have some disease in those specific areas. And so that's why we are trying to tackle some of the problems at source. And besides that, we have 16 regions, all right. But election is about data. So for some of the regions, when you combine the total voter population, it can be wiped up by maybe one constituency in Ashanti region. And so if presidential election is about numbers, you must give, if you want to give equitable treatment, then it means that when you come to region by region, Ashanti will appear to be having extra focus. But when you go according to the numbers and the population, you see that we are trying to spread our efforts equitably so we can get optimum results.
In this election, upcoming election, what do you think are the main issues around which you are going to fight? What are the main issues?
Well, it's not about my opinion, but survey upon survey have revealed the issues that are of major concern to Ghanaians. And top on the list is economy and jobs for the youth. And then down there you come, I think number 4 or so is corruption and many other things. So we are designing our campaign strategies to respond to the felt needs of the electorates.
How far have you gone? I mean, does that entail preparation of a manifesto? What is it that you're doing?
Sure. In actual fact, I'm just returning from from a policy dialogue which we have been engaged in over the years. So after we lost the elections 2020, the group that was engaged in developing our manifesto did not go to bed. They've been working continuously, revising the manifesto based on emerging challenges and all that. So we are far advanced at developing the manifesto of which we will be going into the election. And as I said to you, I'm just returning from one of the penultimate policy dialogues in order to firm up our policy proposals. And also we've been working on strategizing for this election, but that I'm not going to go into details. So that is also there. So we think we have 2 main problems confronting us. Number 1, we believe that all Ghanaians accept now that the country has been going through some decay for the past 7 years, and that decay ought to be stopped. It can only be stopped when you remove the agent that is creating the decay. So that's one of the major challenges facing the country. The second one is that if you remove the decay or the agent causing the decay, then you haven't finished. You need now to repair the decay and then to return the country onto the path of growth. That is why we are focusing our attention in these 2 areas, strategizing to win the elections by dislodging NPP, and then what to do immediately after the elections, so that, and I'm emphasizing immediately because Ghanaians seem to be losing some confidence in our democratic experiment. And so there is the need to re-energize their confidence in the system, and they must feel that something new is going to happen. And so we will not have time at all to waste. So we don't think that Ghanaians will tolerate us if after winning the election we sit down and, you know, even constituting government is a problem, let alone beginning with the changes that they are expecting. So that is why we need to prepare in advance, so that immediately we are sworn into office, we hit the ground running. And we need to also you know, think through our policies well, not to come and be doing knee-jerk approaches and experimentation and so on. Ghanaians will not forgive us because we've been there before, and they expect us to have learned lessons from where there were mistakes. And so they will expect much more from us than when we were coming into power for the first time. So we need to, you know, let Ghanaians feel right from the day of the swearing in that a new wind is blowing. Things are not going to be done the same way that they've been done in the past. And then we need to also demonstrate our readiness to face the challenges, to disentangle what I perceive to be state capture, disentangle the structures of the state capture, and work to renew the confidence of Ghanaians in our democratic institutions.
General, you must be intensely aware of the fact that Ghanaians are fed up with platform promises.
Sure.
How is that going to impact your campaign strategy? We are just fed up with the promises.
Yes. That is why we are very modest in the things we are going to promise. The biggest one we are promising is to restoring the country back to the path of growth generally. And in doing so, we believe that the little resource we have, we are better off concentrating on completion of ongoing projects and abandoned projects and so on. We will not be rushing into creating another set of projects which we will leave uncompleted. Because at times I sit down to think and I realize that from Osagyefo's time, when CPP was overthrown, when you pick all the uncompleted projects through all the other governments to date and you convert them into money, you find out that, Kwasi, they may be more than our national income now, our GDP now. So what has happened? We just threw our money away and then we are sitting down begging. So we think that there must be a paradigm shift where we emphasize on continuing projects started by our predecessors. Look, Cocoa Board is in crisis now. Why? There was Cocoa Roads project, which was funded by monies taken out from outside. The projects were stopped and abandoned. The rain has washed majority of the uncompleted ones away. So we are back. The condition of the roads is back to status quo ante. Meanwhile, nobody can stop our creditors from taking their money from us. So we are paying for roads that we did not construct. So it's like throwing the money down the drain. And it is just one example. If you compare this, you take into account, you know, what Osagifo left, and then what the NLC left, and so on up to today. You realize that we just work, and then the reason we do this is that there is some, I don't know how to describe it, some pride in telling people that these are my projects 100%. They were begun by me and completed by me, so I can only take credit for projects that I initiate and complete. What the hell that pride gives us, I don't know. Instead of saying that we have inherited this project, we've continued, it is now working and delivering, resource, delivering income to the country, and because of that we are able to generate enough revenues to pay for the loan or whatever facility we use to develop it. So that pride, mediocre thinking that I can only take pride in a project that I start myself and finish, and that when I finish somebody's project, some people will say that it is not your project. So I've never engaged in this debate of this is our project, that is his project, this is our project, because it does not help the country at all.
But generally, there are some who say that we are bankrupt, we are broke, there's no money.
Yeah.
Even to continue projects started by your predecessors, there's simply no money. Is that true? And if that is true, how are you going to find the resources to do any project whatsoever?
Well, this is a double barrel question. I cannot say it is true. And so I will not be able to build the next answer based on the fact that we are bankrupt, we don't have money. Because those who claim we are bankrupt, they are still in charge of the economy, and the profligacy has not stopped. So if we are completely bankrupt, where is the money coming from to sustain that profligate expenditure? Look at our budget and expenditure for this AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. When you compare it with other countries which are far richer than us, can you be convinced that indeed those who are at the helm of affairs accept that we are bankrupt?
They're borrowing and dropping.
Then number two, I just saw something, I don't know whether it is fake news or proper news, that government is budgeting 150, but has secured 150 million funding for the patching of potholes.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
Kwasi, how were the potholes created in the first place? You see, so when you look at these things, and the fact that we had a system of generating revenue to fix these potholes, and we decided to abandon that system. And now we are going to borrow to come and fix the potholes. These potholes and maintenance of our roads was being funded through road tolls. The same government that says the road tolls, have outlived their usefulness, let's abandon it. You open our roads for all these heavy trucks, some of them transcontinental, coming from Sahel. The size of the Sahelian articulators is even bigger than what we have in Ghana. And the load they carry, they all pass through free without contributing anything towards the maintenance of roads. And you now have to go and borrow 150 million to come and fix potholes. That's one of the problems. See, so it is doable when we come and we commit ourselves to it. It can be done. And even though people are claiming the country is broke, it is not all the citizens in the country that are broke. There must be ways out of it. For instance, you see, the latest means of hiding laundered money is real estate. People steal money and they put it in real estate. And the structures, since it was announced that our economy has collapsed, has the construction stopped, the big constructions going on in Accra and in our major cities, it hasn't stopped. The cranes are up there. So if we dedicate ourselves to it and we attach more seriousness to property rating, it can generate more money than many other taxes will bring in. So even if somebody has stolen our money, us in government is able to put up 12 houses, 15 houses, and so on. And you are taking property rate. If he cannot pay, he will have to sell some of the houses to pay the property rate of there. That is part of the recovery. Okay, so there are ideas that can be used to, at least continue some of the projects that they themselves will generate more revenues, and we can be back to where we started. Where many other countries have sunk even further than where we are now. And we shouldn't throw our hands in the air that everything is bad, so let's stop. It has to be done, like in the words of, is it Ifrimamo? He says, the work has to be done. Who will do it? It is us who should do it. We are not the children of Ghana. We are the parents of the new Ghana that we want to build.
Well, we were talking with Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I'd like to ask some question. The NDC is so confident it is coming to power. I'd like to know what are the first things that they're going to do when they assume power on January 7th, 2025. What are the first things should be expecting from an NDC government? Short break. Welcome back to Talk Time, and we are in conversation with Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairperson of the National Democratic Congress. Sir,
yes.
January 7th, 2025, you're back in office. What would you do from January 7th?
I'm being tempted to peep into our manifesto, but I'll resist the temptation. I'll resist the temptation partly. But speaking for myself, as I said, Ghanaians need to feel that there is a wind of change blowing. First of all, we must protect documents, because we've been there before. Documents about corrupt deals and all that were shredded before we came to office. I remember we had a policy that was announced that some people should remain in office for some time whilst we prepare and so on. I don't think that is the way that we should approach this transition. And that is why I think that we should be prepared to announce our government as quickly as possible so that we can protect the integrity of the documents that we have. Ghanaians are expecting accountability, holding people accountable for what they have done wrong. we are not going to engage in witch hunting and all that if there are no witches. But Ghanaians expect, we owe it to ourselves and owe it to Ghanaians and the generations unborn that nobody should mess up with our resources, the country's resources, and get away with them. So I think quickly we would have to find out how we can hold people accountable. But we will not be looking backwards alone. We have to be looking forward and backwards so that we demonstrate to the new NDC government that we are not in to compete in who can loot more. So that whilst we are holding previous duty bearers to account, we set example that, look, it will not be tolerated. What is wrong in the previous government will not be tolerated in the current or future government. So I believe that if we are able to demonstrate that we have come, we are going to protect the people's purse, we are prepared to do all the work that will restore the country back to its past glories, we will have sympathies across, together with our friends, with the population. We were here during the revolution, the Rawlins's revolution. The situation in the country, as far as the economy was concerned, arguably was worse than this as at the time we took over. But we were able to sustain the confidence in the masses in what we were doing, and we were able to reawaken the patriotism in the ordinary people, and everybody brought their hands on deck, and we were able to scale the difficulties. So I think that is a job that we need to focus on in the very early stages of our new government. So I think those are the things we'll be doing. But when it comes to actual policy measures in government, I prefer to leave that one.
No problem.
Yes.
I've been listening to radio quite a bit.
Yes.
And many of your supporters are threatening to jail officials of this administration who they think have been corrupt. So we will jail you. Are you going to be jailing them?
No, I don't think that anybody in our government has the capacity to jail anybody. Jailing is the issue with the courts. But we will punish wrongdoers.
NDG Tamaklo actually is insisting on prosecution of previous officials.
Oh, if there is evidence to prosecute wrongdoers, it depends on the categorization you are talking about. I don't see them, and I don't want to paint them as previous government officials. I'm saying if you are doing house cleaning, it has to involve everybody. They may be previous government officials with collaborators inside us. So if you get those collaborators, what are you going to do to them? And so I'm not comfortable with the term previous government officials, as if when we come, then the searchlight for corruption is going to, yes, focus on a particular set of people, and that all the others who are outside that are free. No. We are saying that the laws of this country were made for all of us. So when we come, we would look at how to apply the law to protect state property. And if anybody has stolen state property, that person will account for his activities. But I won't want to call them NPP people or previous government officials or current government officials. We are saying any and everybody who has done something wrong would have to be, will face the music.
Some of your members are also livid, really livid, saying that this time there will be no father for all. What does that mean?
Well, maybe they are referring to the previous time, Professor Mills's time, when it was announced that DCs of the previous government should remain, some appointees should remain, and they were there shredding documents to cover up there are corrupt deals and so maybe that is what they are talking about. And maybe they are talking about us also repeating what NPP has done differently. If we think that NPP has compromised our state institutions by ensuring that everybody who works in there is NPP. If you are not NPP, you are handed out, and then others are brought in and so on. Some of them, admittedly, that is what they are thinking about. But what will appease such people? Two things, but I will choose one. Some are demanding that let us repeat what they have done and pay them back. There is a better way to approach it. If we are able to find out who were removed wrongly, and as much as possible, if they can be restored, and who were brought in wrongly, as much as possible, can be removed, then we can all go back to the laws to begin. But what the party people will not accept is for us to come and say that, well, let bygones be bygones, but those who are occupying those positions wrongly must be protected to remain there. I think that will be too much, because if they were put there wrongly, they will continue doing the wrong things. But everybody knows the rules as to how people get to certain offices. If those rules are found to have been breached, then of course the correction must be done.
But there are some areas where this problem is critical. For example, the security service, the electoral commission and so on. If it's found that these areas have been packed with party loyalists, what are you going to do? Police, military,
that's why I'm saying
customs.
There is a way of getting recruited in the security. There's a way of getting recruited in all other government agencies. I am saying we will stick by the law. So if anybody got there wrongly, the law will expose that person for what he is. Okay, so if when you take the national constitution, if you are elected in parliament or government or president, and something is discovered, which if it were known before you became an MP or a president, you wouldn't have qualified to be an MP or president, then you go home. So the same principle will apply to everybody. So if you are found to have been recruited wrongly, we will pursue the law and see how those things can be dealt with. So the important thing is to make sure that you stick by the law. And if you stick by the law, you are always safe. And you are not creating any precedents for some chain reaction in future. If this is the first time that recruitment processes have been breached, you know everybody who was recruited. And if you compare that process with the law, you know those who were recruited wrongly. And it becomes easier to isolate them and treat them the way they should be treated according to law.
So why did you go back to the IPAC?
Well, we gave reasons for not going back to the IPAC. And we got assurances that our concerns have been addressed. So there was no reason to stay away. For instance, we said that the IPAC was put in place to help develop consensus in many subjects which cannot be legislated in their nitty-gritties. So in every democracy, consensus is a major part of it. And so we put the IPAC there. It was not based on any law, but we established conventions as to how the consensus positions were generated, and through the activities of IPAC, were able to achieve a lot of improvement in our electoral process. Now came Madame Jean and her team, and they decided to treat IPAC differently. And at some point we got convinced. We got convinced that IPAC has abandoned, deviated from its purposes, so there was no point being there. And so, sorry. So following our workout from IPAC, there have been a lot of engagements behind the scenes, some led by Peace Council and many other institutions. So we got to a point where we felt that, well, they had given indication that IPAC will revert to its consensus building ways. And so we thought that we should give it a try. That's why we are back.
But there are still concerns about the Electoral Commission and what it may do. One of those concerns has to do with the alleged appointment of card-bearing party members onto the commission.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get the bridge and cross it.
But you can see the bridge.
Yes, I say we'll get there.
When you get there, you cross it.
When we get there, we'll cross it.
Since joining
because there is, as I have said, there are rules about the appointment of commissioners. So if we are there and we go back to the rules and we find out certain things were done against the rules themselves will prescribe our next line of action.
Are you satisfied, since you went back to IPAC, how it has worked?
Well, we've just attended, I think, 1 or 2 meetings.
2?
Mm-hmm. And I've not attended myself because now my position has changed. So it's only where there are very critical issues that I attend. Mm-hmm. But our delegation to IPAC feel that, well, it is worth continuing.
What about your boycott of one particular radio station? Mm-hmm. Your friend's radio station.
Which is it?
Your friend.
Kennedy.
Peace FM.
Oh, Kwame.
Yes.
I think we've gone beyond that. Yeah. We've gone beyond that because we have had several backdoor engagements and so on. So as far as I'm concerned, it is no longer an issue. I think our communications department was expecting some get-together, by our side and Kwame, so that we can pop some champagne and seal the deal. So that's all. But there's no actual issue now to be
So addressed. We should be expecting you back on Peace FM very soon.
I think so.
Okay. Now we're going to go for another short break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask General a question he may not be too comfortable with, but a question which is just begging to be asked. Short break. Well, welcome back to Talk Time, and the General is here with us. General Mosquito is here with us. Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Now, sir.
Yes.
Do you or do you not know who President John Mahama's running mate is going to be?
Well, I don't know for a fact. But everybody, like the way we all stake lotto, everybody can guess.
Everybody is expecting that 3 will drop.
Everybody can guess. So I have not been informed officially in my capacity as a national chairman what the decision of President Mahama is. I'm only interested in trying to hold him to his word that by the end of the second week or by the middle of the third month, we should know the running mate. So as far as I'm concerned, with my executive, that is what we are working on.
But who is this mystery person that everybody knows that the rest of us don't know? This mystery person, who is that?
Well, it's in the head of President Mahama. We don't know.
But you appear to have a way into the head of President Mahama.
No, we are saying that the timetable, because we need to do our things according to our own strategy. So we can hold him to the timetable to tell us what is in his mind.
But it appears that all
until
of you,
he tells us,
it appears that all of you know who the running mate is going to be.
I don't know.
You don't have any idea.
If other people, I can have ideas based on projections and other things, the same way that our party has done things in the past and so on. But I may be wrong, I may be right. That is why I don't want to put any conjecture out there.
What is the quality you're looking for?
Of course, you know, we share some beliefs, and that is that we don't believe in this where you come from, north, south, what language you speak, and all this. We don't believe
How much money you have?
I don't know. I know you don't believe in that.
Of course not.
There's a job to be done. So we are looking for who is best cut to do that job. That's all. So that is our first consideration. All the other things about religion, where you come from, and all that, gender and all that, they are secondary. First, you look at the quality of the person for the job. If he's able to do it, we go for it, because you are not electing just a leader for the party. You are electing a leader for the country. And all the difficulties, some of which we have spoken about this morning, they need leadership to be able to handle. So you need to look beyond the election, that who is best cut to do the job. So when the name comes to us, that will be our first query. Find out, is that person up to the task we are going to ask the nation to assign to him or her? If we are able to satisfy that one, then we get to the other considerations.
But do you have people in the party who meet the requirement? You know, in the NPP, for example, they're looking outside. They're looking at some Osofu and so on. You know, do you have the people in your party, or you also be tempted to look outside?
We have more than we require.
We are not going to do the Osofu trick.
To pick somebody and now try to convert the person, or what?
No, to pick somebody because he can recite the Bible, you know.
The job is not about Bible recitation, because you are going to be a vice president of the republic. You are going to undertake some difficult job of reconstructing or helping to reconstruct a damaged nation. So it's not about your religion and so on. If it's about religion, well, there are several bishops and popes around, or imams around for that matter, and so it's not about that.
Or fetish priests.
Or fetish priests, or Ulomo and all that, they are all around. But we are going to offer prayers, and you are looking for a fetish priest or Ulomo or something that's different. But we have a job. We already know the requirements of the job. So all that we are looking for is the qualities of the prospective candidates. Fit them in the job requirements. If they can do it, you know it. If they cannot do it and you put them there, you are fixing a square peg in a round hole. You may think that this will win us elections, but winning elections is not an end in itself. Winning elections and being able to satisfy the population, you know, about what you intend to, the changes you intend to bring in their lives and so on. So that is much more important than just the activity of winning elections.
General, you are a very experienced person. You've done many things before, banking, parliament, all kinds of things.
Yes.
One of the things that you've done.
Wine tapping.
Wine tapping.
Yes. I've distilled appetites, I've tapped wine, all those. Wow. Yes.
But you were in parliament.
Yes, I was in parliament for 12 years.
So you have some parliamentary experience.
Sure.
Now, to start with, you had your own difficulties when it came to the replacement of Mr. Haruna Idrisu. And I guess that some of the difficulty continues up to today. The NPP is in the same hot waters. How do you see the problem of the selection of parliamentary leadership? How may it be done?
Well, you see, the selection of parliamentary leadership has been a problem since the Second or Third Republic. You remember the Kwakuba, Usa Champo problem and so on. And I think that since becoming General Secretary, I kept reminding our party structures that there is a vacuum that we need to fill. But it's like when we constitute leadership of parliament and it's accepted for the time being, then everybody goes to bed. We don't deal with the problem. Some way, somehow, because NDC has always had a former MP in our leadership, the top leadership, the three people on the top, since NDC was formed, we've always had a former MP there. The first set of chairman, co-chairman, you have Munufie as a former MP before. Then we came to Obeda Samoa, former MP. And then we came to our turn. I was a former MP, Dr. Kwabranje was a former MP, and all that up to today. So somehow in private discussions with MPP, I've always been telling them that the nation and our democracy will be better served if we encourage former MPs to take positions at their national party level. So far, they've not been able to do that. But what I'm dragging at is that there is parliament, and parliament, by the constitution, are empowered to regulate their own processes and in parliament. Okay, they do that by preparing standing orders. That are the rules. The standing orders are very silent about how the parties elect their leadership in parliament. If they are referring to a party leader in parliament, they just refer to the person as the leader of NDC, leader of MPP, leader of majority, leader of this in parliament. They assume it, and then that's all. So there is no procedure at all in the standing orders about how party leaders are elected. That tells you that the rules of parliament do not cover how parties elect leadership among the MPs the party has sponsored to parliament. Now, in the past, MPs, if they were dissatisfied with their parties, could cross carpet and join other parties and remain in parliament. this 1992 constitution is different, because arguing from the point that elections constitute the signing of a social contract between a political party and the electorate, and that once the parties prepare what they will do and sell that to the electorate together with the candidates they are trusting to implement what they are promising. So when the candidate the electorate buy into it, it means the social contract has been signed. And so when you get into government, you come to implementation time. And so the candidates you have sold to the electorate, you are expected to use those candidates to implement the program which has been bought into by the electorate. So if the candidate comes to parliament and decides that I no longer believe in the programs of that party, then the law says leave parliament and go back, take another program and sell it to the electorate. If they buy into it, you return to parliament. If they don't buy into it, you are out of here. It means you are not part of the original. You go home. So this 92 constitution actually firms up the fact that the MPs in parliament continue to be constitute an important wing of the party. Now, when you look at our individual party constitutions, in our constitution, we have created 4 wings. Lately, we have added 1, so we have 5 wings of the party. Apart from the main party structure, we have some semi-autonomous wings, and there are 5. First one is youth wing, second women's wing, third international wing, and then you have the parliamentary wing, and we have just added Zongo caucus a few years ago. Now our constitution stipulates that we have to develop regulations for the running of these wings. Okay, in the past it has not happened. I think we used to have one for the youth wing during E.T. Mensah's term, but since a lot of changes came, so it became stale. So as at the time I took over as a national chairman, we didn't have any regulations for any of these wings. So we have embarked, together with the national executive, we have embarked on the process of developing the legal framework based upon which these our wings should run. We just completed the youth wing, and we've used that one as a standard. We are, in advanced stages of producing the caucus regulations, the parliamentary caucus regulations, the Zongo caucus regulations, and the women's wing regulations, and then the international wing regulations. When these things are firmed up, and they will be done, they are done with together with the various wings, the leadership of the wings. So some of the drafts emanate from our side. In fact, the draft that will regulate our caucus emanated from the caucus themselves. So it's on the table, which we are trying to firm up. Immediately we pass these ones, then all these issues about who appoints or elect our leader in parliament and all these things will be addressed with finality. But the key argument is that no political party caucus in parliament can declare themselves independent from the party. Because the constitution itself says that the parties sponsor those candidates there. And the constitution recognizes that once you are sponsored by the party, you are bound to do the bidding of the party. And any point in time you want to declare your independence from the party, you must lose your seat and go back and then come under a different sponsorship. Either you sponsor yourself or somebody else sponsors you. So I think that, I don't know what the provisions in the NPP constitutions are, but I think these are the areas we should be looking at to address this. The principles first. There is the need for people to be involved in the choice of their leadership. No doubt about that. But there is also the contract that somebody has sponsored those people who want to choose their leadership. So there can be a middle way somewhere where everybody's interest will be catered for. If you look at what happens at the district assembly level, for instance, that same argument has been there. There is a government in power, a president who has been elected to, implement his agenda and all that, that will involve district assemblies, participation and so on. But there are people who have also been elected on their own. They've contested election and they've been elected to district assemblies. How do you choose their leadership? It's been a question. And at that level, there has been a solution. And that is, somebody may nominate for other people to approve and so on. So we can look through many of these things and we will get an acceptable solution to deal with these problems. And I believe if we are able to get it, it will be a standard for other parties in the country.
I don't know, in the case of Honorable Haruna Idrisu, it does appear that there's still some bitterness. How are you coping with that? How are you dealing with that?
See, the important thing is that you can't deviate from the principles and you can't deviate from the law, unfortunately. I don't think that appeasement is a good method to govern with. So, if there is a decision, it is not everybody who will be happy with the decision. And in fact, in many, many ways, when a position is lost to you, you are a human being. You feel peeved. But over time, you grow over it. But I don't see a problem with Honorable Haruna and the way you are seeing it, because he has come over and we are.
It's not about him, You get the indication that some of his supporters, some of the people who really appreciate his leadership and so on, appear to be bitter.
Well, their bitterness will abate over time, because we'll be talking to them. Because we don't take decisions based on who will be bitter and who will not be bitter. If we think that this is the best way to go, because always when you are taking decisions in an organization, you take decisions that will secure the interests of the organization, and by extension, if anybody is implementing any policy in this country, they look at the policy that will benefit the greater number of people in the country. But if you want to implement a policy that will satisfy every individual, it cannot happen. Then you are not prepared to govern. So, if you are convinced that the basis of your decision is valid, I think that you have to find ways of dealing with the fallout, but that is not to change the decision. And so everybody will grow up, because and this is not the first time of changing leadership in Parliament, and it certainly is not going to be the last time of changing leadership. In fact, the time that we were changing leadership that brought Honorable Haruna, Honorable Muntaka and Co on board, I raised this issue that there is some amount of uncertainty or trial and error at the method of choosing our leaders. And this thing must be dealt with. Unfortunately, it was never dealt with until I found myself in a situation that I had to take some decision. And so there was no law or anything. We had to rely on any system that but after that, we have since agreed with the caucus and with our Council of Elders and leadership that the way to go is to finalize the regulations, and that it will bring clarity to the processes of selecting leadership. And I believe that at that point, these issues about who is wrong in taking what decision will be a thing of the past.
General, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very much for coming to the studio.
You're welcome.
Now, viewers, we've been talking to Mr. Johnson Asiedu Nketia, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, and we hope that this conversation has shed light on one or two issues that may have not been very clear to you and so on. He will come back again. He will come back many times in the course of this year to answer questions about his party and Ghana. And once more, we'd like to thank him very, very much. We'd like to thank him profusely for coming to the studio and sharing his thoughts with us. We'll see you again next week. It's goodbye from me, from Pan-African Television, from producer-director George Viner, and everybody who contributed to make this show possible. Bye-bye.
Owura Johnson Asiedu Nketia dodo na epamu efene se Johnson Asiedu Nketia na yakutie na no dinsam aba no ane. In fact, me can say papa no akasa yie ane wakasa yie. Even though there were some questions that I was expecting to be asked, and same bi wo hono mo na enka me pese yewura Kwasi Pratt Junior esheda ehamaso no opushi no na yesheda ehu enyoma bi pa, because baby a Ghana ya duro no yehia se ye shenipa enkuran na nipa enya gidie ewo NDC mu ekire se NDC eba power enye agudi bi ena omba bedi and kobane se NDC for eba power na akoye se power na omo baaye no akoye agudie bi ana say my friends, they are my friends, and I say no there be sadie no I say ye ama no akọ affect ye political parties ni nyina time a ye omanpanyini kofo eba power na omo kan say NDC vote this car in 2000 election, NDC vote this car omo ye corrupt omo bo metichi omagum efan kusin sambebre ena ye NPP for eka ye ya na Ghana for e de kotoma omo thinking say aja senka omo bedru a omo di osie ebe ye oyo na nkoma chichire NDC for e de omagum but omo ba ye no ya nyina ya ni tua apart from chachu chikata omoche no eno krampo no utimi se ne chire no krampo na enheda anye papa cause na evidence bia enheda ni ho bia hu se we die by force na kwan bone so no mo fa so de ache no ema yekonya CJ efuo ma mo be ye demonstrations wo krom ha e de sorry ti aye ne ho keka ho. In fact, independent organizations, independent groups near what they are this sorry demonstration. No, near more person with the dictatorship and the nimbram can be a more person more faso at the mafia and keke. You know, krum ha. Apart from no, I think that Haruna Fusenio say Haruna something now a year sports minister. And a year Satam Kono a sports minister under ɔmanpanyin Akufo Kofoɔ nankasa na CPP news either CPP or PNC as stand to be corrected ɔno ɛna ɔno so yɛkyi ne tum deda NPP for year in 2000 elections the corruption koso ɔmo bɔkorɔ ne ho ade nyinaa no ɛkɔ ɔmo ba pa ɔmo ntumi anche obi antum ɛna sika sɛ ɛyira ayɛ sɛ yampao sɛ nyampao yɛte a enim 2008 NDC for so NPP for bɔkorɔ no ɔmo wia ɔmo yɛ corrupt ɔmo yɛ say yɛ ba ɛbɛkyerɛ ɔmo atum ɛna yɛto abadema NDC for ɔmo ba ya ɛno so ɔmanche kotreba krampo antum kotreba ɔmanpanyin Atamils wini power apɛ ɛna ɔso ɔne deɛ ɔyɛ father for all ɔpɛ nkambom yɛn build ɔman no better Ghana agenda let us build no mo started building yes ɔyɛ adeɛ na bɛka ne sɛ efiri saa time na bɛpem Akufo-Addo so eba 2016 no so bɛkeka nsɛm bebree ɛna NDC for yɛ akrɔmfoɔ yɛ ba yɛ bɛkyekyɛ ɔmo agum ɛna nsɛm bebree ɔmo so wini power ɔmo so baɛ kotrɛ sei ba ɔmo ntumi nkye ne ntum kotrɛ sei ba ɔmo ntumi ankye ne ntum ɛne sɛ aban sesa ɛbɛpem nnɛ na NDC for so 2024 yɛsɛ ɛka the same thing we have bɔkorɔ no enti sɛ ɛkɔba ne sɛ NDC for Ghana for jimutum na sɛ mu wini a na saa adeɛ no so sa kosi sɛ ya nche kutra ba bia krampo ntumu a ɛno so ɛho asɛm ɛne sɛn enti ama nne no nkrofo bi ɛkeka sɛ ɛna they are all the same politicians there mon forget your mo they are tan omo tie omo ba they cover themselves friend and friends and family and friends and I find kosi they cover themselves af ne ho enti eba ne sa na gidie any politicians any political parties nim say mo ba mo betumi aka ne mo ye no eno na nka me pese Uncle Kwasi Pratt share the pushing because oman no eji nsɛm ano no now okobisa politicians no so they will tell you so bia nientia to say NDC for I remember in 2009 our movie in election almost started say they will prosecute some of the NPP officials na yenimu say saa abre ni mo no na chief justice no otis akonwa so no Georgina Wood na oye NPP kofo na yi ne baaye and o ma parke judiciary hall with NPP judges enti say NDC for so omo de asam no court ho no a na because say chief justice no oye NPP appointee kofo na appointing nti no na oye cover us no akofa judges are omo ye NPP for no de omakotena case no so no di asem no ma two case na to atwene. It happened severally under Professor Mills. Omo de asem we kwa ni atoagu omo de kwa ni atoagu omo de kwa ni atoagu all because NPP for a package judiciary no with their people elomugu ho chief justice NPP for ne appointed no enti NPP for say NDC for so no mo kirem say anya na yentimi show mo ya de omo kwa na judges na ja omo ya de omo kwa na judges no aja omo ha omo so omanu yie no enti na nka me pese opush no pa because I remember at that time na Dr. Kobna J na oye NPP national chairman any NDC for be a pushy even including founder Jerry John Rawlings so even judges no omu yi omadi omu pamo omu yes omu mumra so no omu pamo omu no omu kwa mfa judges papa nguo na said be ometumi adi sa ankrofo yi akromfo yi asem ni achichi omagum Professor Amel so ontimi nya sa eno na mo be kaya friend say ye call Professor Amel say need the presser Samtroni biko bisa and say how is he going to deal with that sa judges no mo hihye mu na omo edi sa nyamran sam ne ho ade na obeye ho a akfa ho ka said look into my face do I look like a cat hunter mo kai sa asem na enti na Professor Amos person or chess or no the ontimi ko say ontimi ko so okohante for any offense saying what do you call it any judge say okohante no okoyi na firo because judge ni ndi asamo magana for ni ho ade ti no no de ekoba na saa na eja na saa na ba na saa ene yentumi anche kotere bampo amfa na ntum enti se sia ye nyina ya ni tua se akufu ado apaki NPP for we die gani fili gadochi enim ohene a na wo ye NPP ni ohene a na wo ye NPP ni o endorse o mampanyin Mahama sorry o mampanyin akufu ado wo voter region ade a chen ye ni akoye no Supreme Court justice yakoye no justice saying judge Supreme Court. A lot of them today almost Supreme Court judges are NPP for and they are show. Chief Justice or call ye nim tua. How I would deal in your esify corruption at dokrono say insama corruption at dokrono say insama $5 million at the see I want to be yin no anchors or corrupt. Nti ne bet me akasa why corrupt because asam ne yede to no so no yente ho hwe bepem ne want me am be yi ne ho ano bepem ne na owie ye no Akufo asa ko appoint new person asa betena abedi na ade enti no se NDC fo se ko ba ne se mu be wini power bi mu a sai akoba ne kwan me so na mo be fa so deal with those issues no say ye ba betal betena se abetie say ye de omon kwa na court na pam I rejected case no and now court na true to case na we na because omon crofo na church and no say abeti biemu na is that going to repeat? If it won't repeat, then what are the mechanisms the NDC are going to take to resolve that? Because Sasadie we and to me in 2024 or 2025 and this for Bapa 2025 na saade we antumi amam na we krono a akoso aban mu na ya nchichi nkrofo ya ntum nkrofo ma di Ghana mbone ya nche o man je Ghana japade nyina mfiri o mun samu a Ghana is dead forever. I'm mark it anywhere. Say sa nyoma na ntimi ansi a Ghana is dead. O man penyi na oteso no what me dia could di what Jima Trakunyana so a child 3 years he will be overthrown. A month for there will be a coup in Ghana. I'll be too because me sure say Sasamun Esia ni antimati check crofona is you na corruption cases no cause wa ko ha na ko banse crofo kazo yanka and this for by man chomo almost so issues be sisi omun kramponi e wa de you won't change no mo ye one year Ghanaians will call for a friend saying a factory reset. Yes, Ghanaians will call for a factory reset. Or make us say, or mine, Massa, yen sign and fan baby, na yen cost yen say no yen sign no for. That is what Ghanaians are going to call for. What you say? Because mostly say corruption rise here could do level beer. And no na corruption say could be see who say na o mining nyina no obia ka say like omu bo say ku na sin no man for boost man for any age adinta because ku na koso ama government upon government abas near koso na they don't see any changes. It is a ku bisi se ape obia ni beji obia be bo say obia be to powder. What you say? You know, you best say NDC for they should think about this. How are they going to deal with it? Because you himself judges, you know, and Mrabo home by whom found San Kama Keke. Now, Mosomodi or Marco Shehui, not Chief Justice or Tesui, or ye NPP appointed, a Kufuado appointed. Yasa a Paki NPP for, and you may friend saying, court on me. You better then you to me as cleaning the system with this kind of people. Sabi. Obi birth certificate at the hopper ye say no nche so e Ghana ni san krofo yi e be den and ye to trust you. So I had wanted him to push him to that angle, but I don't know, and I know say Senate bi an omo so no omunim de sa de no e be ba omu tirim Yes, and when I get the opportunity one day, I will ask them. I have a PENDREAM TV. Make sure also subscribe to the channel and subscribe to our channel. Send a bear. Juma dia ye do no hana ebe koso ye e dia mind no like video no hwe wie pe like video no na wadwe nkyire bia so no wade ato comment section na say na wa share video no e ma afoforo so ensa akasa na PENDREAM TV asa akofa PENDREAM FM e dia ba ye say ba bia uwo bia wadwe nkyire bi e de fa Ghana manyo sam ho a asem bia pese ka ho asem bia da ho utimi eye voice note WhatsApp voice note 0277128777 0277128777 o de send ya ye be bo e PENDREAM FM so ama Ghana fo nyina ate wonka yes be a citizen and not a spectator. PENDREAM TV edamu yopo
Dedi kama amena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.
Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, Asiedu yopo.